Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Spring into Yoga, our last segment for the month of May. And our key term today is the word calm. So our first week, we focused on trust. Second week, we did empowerment. Third week was harmony. And this week is calm. So I use techniques using the breath, the mind, the brain, and the body, our 3 Bs, to bring us into a state of calm today. And this helps us with times in our life where we might have some depression or anxiety, and we can use these breathing techniques, these stretches, these poses to help bring us into a state of calm. So today I have an essential oil lavender with me. So if you have essential oil, wonderful. Let's come down onto your mat in a nice seated position. And we'll use a breath technique called the left nostril breathing technique. So our brain, of course, is divided into right and left hemispheres. And the left side of our brain kind of controls that side of our nervous system that is our rest and relax side. The right side of our brain, right nostril breathing, is the fight or flight side, which takes us into our hormones that stimulate our body for that fight or flight phase. So what we want to do is use a breathing technique through the left nostril only to bring us into a state of calm. And this is physiologically proven to slow our heart rate down, to slow our blood pressure, to bring those fight or flight hormones and allow them to dissipate from our bloodstream and allow us to relax and calm. So if you have an essential oil, wonderful. Lavender is one of the top oils for calming and relaxation. So we can use that essential oil to help us with that relaxation. Just rub it between the palms of your hands. And if you don't, that's okay. You can still rub your palms. It's wonderful just to stimulate through the fingers and the palms, create that nice warming sensation. And then we'll just close our eyes and bring the fingertips in front of the face and start to center. Just inhaling and exhaling the fragrance. Begin to notice your breath. Notice the texture of your breath. And be receptive of allowing the breath to calm your mind, your emotions, your entire well-being. And just for a couple of minutes, we'll come into that left nostril breath. So we'll close the right nostril with the right hand, and you can either use a fingertip. I like to use the thumb, place my two index and middle finger at my forehead and use the thumb just to close off the right nostril, just gently. And we'll inhale deeply in and out through just the left nostril. Now with this left nostril breathing technique, we'll also link another breathing technique called the sinking breath. With the sinking breath, we inhale a certain count, maybe a count of 3, and then our exhalation is twice as slow, twice as long as our inhale. So if we breathe in through the nose, a count of 3, breathe out a count of 6. And again, it's just through that left side nostril. Both of these techniques are a calming breath. The left side nostril is also known as our cooling breath, where the right side nostril is our warming breath. The left nostril is also known as the yin breath. The right nostril known as the yang breath. And let's take 3 or 4 more left side nostril breaths. Completing this final breath, exhaling completely, and allow your hands to float to the top of the knees. And really lengthen your spine here. We'll start to stir the spine in a circle around to the right, to the left, and slightly back. And just even this motion of a circular motion is very calming, very soothing. And allow this motion to be calming and soothing to your lower back, to your hips, working out any tension in the physical body as well as in your mind and emotions. Let's take one more circle to the right side. Then pause for a moment before reversing. Realign your spine. And then take your direction to the left. Eyes can be closed or blinked open with a soft gaze. You can allow your shoulders to move a little bit here as well. The head can move, tilting side, dropping down and up, going at any pace. And take one more around to that left side. And back to center, find your neutral position. Then on an inhale, come into chest expansion. Pull your shoulder blades back, open through your heart. And on an exhale, draw your elbows in towards each other, drop your chin and round your back like a seated cat stretch. And with the breath, we'll inhale open and exhale to round. Moving through gentle flexion and extension of the spine. And 2 more. Breathe in, expand. And breathe out. And breathe in, open. And relaxing the hands back by your side or on top of the knees. Hands on the knees are for grounding. So this is a soothing mantra just to have the hands, or mudra, have the hands on top of the knees. So either with or without your yoga strap as a tool to increase your flexibility and range of motion, we'll lift our arms up into a nice stretch. Feel grounded into your sitting bones. And take a side stretch over to the right. And I'm gently using that yoga strap to pull downward toward the earth and create a little bit of active tension. Without the strap, you can do the same or even plant the right hand down onto the mat. And then we'll inhale to come back up and lengthen over to the other side. So when we side bend, our goal is to increase the length of one side of your spine rather than decreasing the length of the other. If that makes sense, we want to stay still lifted into that shorter side of the waist. And then we'll come back up, releasing the palms down right at heart center level. Rotate to the right side and use that yoga strap to pull your body around to the right. And you're looking over that right shoulder as far as you can. Inhaling back to center. Rotating to the left. Still sitting really tall through your spine. Elongated. And coming back to center. Reach those arms up one more time. See how far you can lift. So opening through your armpits. Maybe your range of motion will allow your arms to slightly come back behind your head, but make sure this feels safe for your shoulders. And one more breath. And exhale, lowering the hands down. We'll come into a yin pose, and this is our half butterfly. So I'm going to keep my right knee bent and extend the left leg forward. Now, sitting up on a blanket is really nice, especially if you have tight hamstrings, but you can also come into a chair and extend your leg out in front of you if that feels more comfortable. We'll use our yoga strap as a tool to place under the ball of the left foot and give it a pull back. So for you today, maybe sitting upright is a wonderful stretch, and you can remain here. Or we can start to extend the spine forward any amount to feel the stretch in the hamstring. If you're pretty flexible, you might be able to wrap the hands around the sole of the foot to pull yourself forward. Or you can also reach your fingertips behind you and give a press from the back. So oftentimes it's really beneficial to pre-stretch our hamstrings before our yoga practice. This gives us a lot more length down the backs of the legs when we perform poses such as downward facing dog and forward fold, where we really need that range of motion. Let's take one more breath here. And exhale, rising back up. Good. Relaxing and switching. We're bending through the left knee. Let that knee just open up. So we're relaxing through the hip, extending the right leg out. And I love the yoga strap for tight hamstrings. It really increases the length of your arms, so that you can gently fold forward and control with the yoga strap, bringing yourself down to that place that feels just right for your body today. Now, we talked about the sinking breath at the beginning of our practice this morning. So let's come into that breath, inhaling a count of 3 or 4, then really slowly exhaling twice the duration of the in-breath. This brings our physical being as well as our mental and emotional being into a place of calm. And we allow that breath to help us sink down a little deeper into our pose this morning. We allow that breath to dissipate any tension we have in our body, tension in our mind. Any stress or anxiety just drifts away as we breathe. And one more breath, inhale. Exhaling slowly. And releasing up. So we'll move right into a downward facing dog. So finding the top of your mat, come to hands and knees. Reach the arms out slightly ahead of your shoulders, tuck your toes, and lift those hips up and just check in with the hamstrings now that we've pre-stretched the back of the legs. And drop those heels down toward the floor. We'll deeply bend the right knee and press the left heel down. and hold 2 sinking breaths. One more. Exhaling that calm and peacefulness. Then switch, bend the left knee, press the right heel down. That right knee can be bent slightly too if hamstrings are really tight this morning. You can also come down to your elbows if the wrists are problematic today. Or this can be done really nicely with hands on a chair. One more sinking breath. Then pressing both heels down. Lengthen the spine, tip the sitting bones up. Then we'll begin to walk the feet toward the hands to the top of your mat, finding your forward fold, or maybe a half lift here if hamstrings are super tight. Find your range of motion this morning. One of the areas that we carry a lot of tension and stress is up into our neck and shoulders. So I really love forward folds for the opportunity to let gravity kind of pull the weight of the head and release tension and stress into the neck. To relax the shoulders. Then using our breath, we'll inhale, maybe a count of 3 to rise up into extended mountain pose. Then exhale twice as long, perhaps a count of 6, to swan dive into your forward bend. So we rise up, a count of 3, 2, 1. Exhaling 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 2 more. So we're practicing our sinking breath through movement. One more time, breathing in. And breathing out twice the duration. Hold that forward fold. And take a step back with your right foot into a short stance warrior 1. So we'll turn that foot out maybe about 45 degrees and rise up into a strong standing warrior. Press palms at your heart center and allow your thumbs to touch the sternum. This gives you a connection and a feeling of calm and of support. Then bring your hands to your hips and pull your shoulder blades back, expanding through the heart, which is a sense of receptiveness and being open. Then allow your left leg to straighten as we begin to fold into pyramid pose. So the hips are flexing, the back stays neutral as we come down any amount. So if hamstrings are tight, you might be up here. You can use fingertips on a wall or to a chair to guide you down. Or we can start using that sinking breath to give us a little bit more range of motion with each breath. So inhaling a count of 3. And then as you exhale 6, see if you can find a little bit more range of motion in your stretch. Hands can also come down to the shins, but just really try not to round your back and hunch your shoulders. Let's take one more sinking breath. As you exhale, really find your edge. Find that maximum range of motion. And then we'll come back up just a bit, and you can use a block for this. We'll twist this pyramid pose. So if you're using a block, I have my right hand on the block. You can also place it on your shin. Bring your left hand to your hip and start to turn your body toward your front leg. This is our revolved triangle. Arm can come up. You can sweep the hand behind the lower back. Try to turn your gaze up over that left shoulder. And then release that twist, coming back down. Soften the front knee, rising back up to your short stance warrior. Arms can lift. Then press palms to your heart. We'll switch sides, stepping forward with the right foot, stepping back with the left with a slight turnout. Make sure your hips are really squared here. Reach up into your warrior. Now, balance can be a little bit different from one side to the other. Strength of the legs, flexibility. So just noticing those differences. We'll bring our palms to the heart. Allow your thumbs to touch the sternum, that feeling of connection and calming and support. Hands draw to the hips, the shoulder blades pull back, elbows pull back, lift your heart with openness and reception to possibilities for your pose on this side. We'll straighten out the right leg, slowly begin to hinge right from your hips. And take your time. If we come down into a pose too quickly, oftentimes muscle receptors and tendon receptors will start to grip and clench, preventing your body from injuring itself. Those receptors respond to quick stretching. So really stretch slowly, and then use your sinking breath. Inhaling 3. Exhaling 6, finding a little bit deeper stretch. And that slow passive exhalation really does help to relax and calm the nervous system, which helps us to relax the muscle. And one more sinking breath. On that slow exhalation, deepen the stretch one more time to your full range of motion. Then we'll prepare to twist this. So coming up slightly, either hand can go to your shin, it's the opposite hand, or bring it to a block. Put hand on the hip and just start to rotate your shoulder and see where you can go with your twist on this side. Now, sometimes if your range of motion isn't very much, lifting the arm will feel awkward and uncomfortable. But sometimes wrapping it behind the back will give you a nice stretch for the shoulder. And then really turn the head looking up to that right side. Abdominals engaged, we're breathing. And then coming out of the twist. Soften through your front knee, give it a bend as we rise back up into our warrior, reaching through the fingertips, stretch. And then pressing palms at the heart. Step forward into mountain pose. And we'll step back with any foot to bring your body into a nice wide stance, the long direction of your mat. Stretching up into five-pointed star, reach through the fingertips. Inhale, then exhale, bend the knees, coming into sunflowers, our wrists cross below us. It's a nice squat, and then reach up, let your wrists cross above the head. And we'll take it forward and up. Now we can make this really slow and meditative and calming. If you need a little bit more energy, pick up the pace. Allow the heart rate to slightly elevate. Using the strength of the thighs and the glutes. And 3 more. And 2. 1. Reach up into your five-pointed star and turn the right foot out. The left foot turns in. Let the arms drop into Warrior 2. So with our Warrior 2 arms, we really need to be cautious about not elevating our shoulder blades. So turn your palms up and roll your shoulders back and press them downward toward the earth. If you're still hunching up the shoulders, your arms don't have to be lifted. They can be at the hips, at heart center. And we'll take 2 breaths here, taking our gaze toward that right hand. Then we'll move into reverse warrior. So this left hand can come down the outside of the thigh or come behind the back. And then take a nice inhalation, lifting that right arm either straight up to the ceiling, or you can start to reach it behind you just a little bit for our reverse warrior, sun warrior. Using that sinking breath, see if you can deepen the pose either in the bend of the side waist, the reach of the arm, or bending that standing knee just a little lower. 2 more breaths. Then lowering that right arm down, we'll reverse this into a side angle pose. We can prop our hand here on the thigh, the forearm. We can bring our hand down to a block behind our ankle. So you take this to the range of motion that feels best for your body today. For strengthening the core, we can take this pose unsupported, reaching both hands out at that angle, really working through the side waist, the muscles that surround our spine, our abdominals and obliques. 1 more breath. And rise back up to your warrior 2. Palms are up. Take your gaze over that right hand. Press your shoulder blades down, finding strength in this pose. Let your arms float down. And we'll adjust the stance, straightening out the right foot, pivoted in. Turn the left foot out. Line your spine and reach out, rolling the shoulders back. Turn the palms up. Press the shoulder blades down. Make sure this knee is tracking over the center of the heel and that this leg is nice and straight. We're contracting through the glute and the quad. We'll take our gaze over that left hand. 2 sinking breaths. And coming into sun warrior. Hand comes down the thigh or reaches behind the back. And we inhale, taking our gaze up. This is such a calming pose, although it is so powerful and so active and dynamic. It's calming physically as well as mentally. Try to increase the intensity of the pose, either through the side bend of the waist, the reach of the arm, or the bending into that front knee. And one more breath. Exhale, coming back up. We'll reverse this pose into side angle, either finding support on this thigh or a block. Stretch all the way through the fingertips. And maybe try to unsupport this pose, reaching out. Feeling the intensity, but overcoming that intensity with your own strength, your own determination. And one more breath. Bring yourself back up to your warrior two with palms up, shoulder blades down. Take your gaze over the left hand. Our final 2 breaths in this pose. And we'll straighten out that left leg. Let the hands float down. Pivot both feet forward. So I'm turning the outside edges of my feet to align with the front and back edges of my mat. We'll come into a wide leg forward fold. So begin to hinge forward at the hips. Coming down, maybe blocks or something that you would like to use here to support your body, or a chair in front of you. And take your range of motion to your edge. Allow this to be another pose where we release tension in our neck and shoulders, surrendering to that pull of gravity, elongating the neck. Now, if you're using a block, we'll bring that right to the center, placing our left hand on top of the block. And we'll rotate to the right. You can bring that right hand to your hip, reaching it up perhaps, just coming into a nice, comfortable, wide leg forward fold with a twist. Now we'll keep this twist to the right side, but look downward over your left shoulder. So you've got an opposing rotation of the head. And then we'll lower that hand back down, placing the right hand in the center. Begin to rotate left. Choose that arm position that works best for you today. And we're starting with the gaze upward. Focusing on our calming breathing technique. And then slowly turning your head to look down over that right shoulder. And then lowering back down. We'll sink down into that wide leg stretch one more time to deepen and see where you can take this pose. Some of you might be able to place your forehead all the way down to your block or on the floor. Some of you might just imagine that's where you are today. So in your mind, take this to your completeness. One more breath, inhale. And exhale. We'll begin to walk the hands over toward the top of your mat, pivoting into a lunge, dropping the back knee down, low lunge. So we can brace here, hands on that front knee, and really open up this right hip flexor, whichever side you have with the leg in the back. Lengthen. We'll come into twisting prayer lunge. So reach the same side arm as your back leg up. So in my case, it's the right side. We'll reach it up, then reach it across at a diagonal and bring that hand to brace on top of the knee or the elbow. Then press the palms of the hands together and rotate. So you might be upright, not quite reaching the knee, or you might have your hand across and just twisting. Wherever this will open up and create a softening, a calming stretch for you. One more sinking breath. And then we'll come back to the center, bringing the fingertips down either to the floor or to a block. Straighten this front leg and shift back into a hamstring stretch. Really elongate. This knee can be slightly bent. Try to level off your hips. And then I want you to take this pose wherever you would like. So I often sometimes see it done where the seat is sitting all the way back to the heel, the body more upright. Or if you'd like to work on Hanumanasana, you can slide this leg forward into a front split and maybe use your block as support. So you can slide that leg forward any amount and hold the stretch. So it's important to find a place that is calming for you to hold a stretch, not a place where you feel anxious or your body seems to be fighting this stretch. So if that begins to happen, pull back a little bit and restart again. Find a calming place where you can relax. As we take one or two more sinking breaths, maybe you choose to fold forward a little deeper. Then take your time in your own way to align the other leg forward into your low lunge. It's just depending on the position that you're currently in, to step forward with the opposite foot into our Anjanae Asana lunge. And take your time to get there so you have that knee behind you, behind the hip. The front leg is in the correct position. We don't want to have this foot way underneath the front knee. So take a big step out and really drop the hips down. We can support here or prepare to find your twisting prayer lunge. So we'll lift the same arm as the back leg, then turn and start to reach across. I'm finding as much range of motion as I can here, and then either placing the arm across to anchor or maybe the elbow. See if you can press the palms together. Rotating, looking over that shoulder. Nice and steady, slowing the exhalation. And come back to your center line. Prepare for your hamstring stretch. So slowly start to extend that front leg back. Square your hips. Sometimes in this position, the hips scissor. So we want to find equilibrium between the hips. And then choose where you'd like to hold this pose today. Again, you can sit back on the heel. Keep yourself more upright. Or perhaps gliding into Hanumanasana or monkey pose, a front split. So take your time. There's no rush to get to your position. But make sure you're in a place of calm and rest as you hold that stretch. And once you've found your way to the place you like to be, come back to your sinking breath pattern. If it helps you to calm your mind, close your eyes and experience your pose from within. And then a couple more sinking breaths. We can choose to fold over that leg a little bit more. And take your time to make your way to hands and knees from your current position. And press yourself into child's pose. Our extended child's pose, reaching the fingertips way out to the top of our mats. It's calming to have that connection of the forehead onto the mat. If your forehead doesn't make it to the mat, it's nice to have a block under the forehead to have that connection. Or you can take your fists and stack them one on top of each other to support the head. We'll begin to move from our child's pose into a kneeling up dog. So as you start to come up, glide your hips up and then drop them down toward the mat any amount and take your gaze forward. Now it's really important in this pose that we don't just relax the core and let the weight of the hips overstretch the lower back. So we have our abdominals supported, they're drawn in. We have control over this back bend. And then we'll press back again to child's pose. And then glide forward again to your kneeling up dog. Now, if this bothers your lower back, to do this spinal extension, just come to a neutral spine and take a kneeling plank rather than extending the spine. And then press it back to child's pose. Our next step to advance this up, if you choose, is to come up to downward facing dog, tucking the heels, tucking the toes, lifting the heels, pressing them down to the earth. And then glide forward to up dog without changing the position of your toes if possible. So I still have my toes tucked under. So I'm feeling a stretch in the toes, in the bottoms of the feet. And then press back again to your down dog. And you can absolutely stay with the child's pose variation. And let's do one more. Our up dog, abdominals are braced, spine is long, legs are active. And then pressing back to one more down dog or child's pose. 2 breaths. And we'll drop our knees down. Transition to your back. as we come into a hip opener. So we are going to do a reclining cow face position, which is, it's a lot easier than doing it seated. So we'll be able to find more of a place of calm with this pose. So once you come down onto your back, bring your knees up to your chest. So you're in tabletop position. And then take your right leg and cross your knee over the left knee. And I'm crossing above my knees. This brings my left foot over toward my right hand and my right foot over toward my left hand. So maybe for you, this is where you stay today. Or perhaps you can reach yourself up and see if you can bring your feet in toward you and actually take a hold of the opposite feet. So sometimes it's easy to get one and not the other. And probably in this case, it would be easier to get your right foot with your left hand because it's closest toward you. So if you can only get one, that's okay. And then it's important that you be able to relax your head back down onto the mat or onto a pillow or a block here. So we are opening both hips. And we can play with the position of our feet here. Maybe they come closer toward the butt, or we can lift them up. And flex your ankles. So make sure your ankles are really flexed. This will help with the integrity of the position of your knees. So we don't twist through the knees. We want to feel the intensity of this pose in the hips. And then let's take 2 sinking breaths. Then release the feet. Bring both knees back into the chest. Pausing there for a moment, just notice the feeling in the hips. And then take your time to move to the other side. So we're crossing the left thigh over the right. So this is different than the figure 4 stretch. In that one, we're crossing the ankle over. So we have the knees stacked. And then curl yourself up with flexed feet. I can very easily reach my left one here, but it's much harder for me to get a hold of this right foot. If you don't get it, that's okay. Just take the one that you can hold and then relax your head and shoulders back down to the mat. And find your calming breath pattern. And as you're holding the stretch, make sure you're not clenching your jaw or furrowing your brow or squinting your eyes. Just let everything in your face be relaxed and calm. Soften a little bit more through your hips. 2 more sinking breaths. And then we'll release the grip from the feet, uncross the knees, come back to knees to chest, and check in. Now we'll come into eagle from this reclined position. So again, we cross the right thigh over the left, but instead of your feet going opposing directions, try to wrap the right big toe behind the left ankle. So it might not get there, and that's okay. If you don't get that wrapping sensation, at least glue your inner thighs toward one another. And then bring your elbows to plant on the mat. And we'll start to slowly drop the knees from the right side to the left side. So this is an active twist in our eagle position. Your shoulder blades stay implanted into the floor. And feel a gentle massage in your lower back as you rock from side to side. The abdominals are braced, so a little bit of work through your core here. Next time you finish to the left side, come back to the center. And then unwrap the ankles, unwrap the knees, pull them right up into the chest. And then wrapping into your eagle with the left thigh crossed over the right, so you have your knees pretty stacked. See if you can wrap this left foot behind the right ankle. So kind of a little trick with that. The more your knees are bent and toward you, the easier it is to get this position. But for some of us, it's not a possibility either way. So just glue your inner thighs tight together. Bring your elbows down to the mat and start to slowly twist from side to side. And notice the muscles that you're using to create the twist. We're not really using our legs. We're using our abdominals. And release any tension in your lower back and in your hips. Next time you move to the right side, that will be your last one. And come back to center. Unravel the ankles and the knees. Hug them in toward the chest. Our last pose here on our back is our happy baby, which is a very calming pose. So we can bring the knees in toward the armpits. Flex your feet, and you have about a 90-degree bend in your knees. It's like you're planting your feet right up on the ceiling. Separate your knees enough to bring both of your arms inside your knees, but take your hands and wrap them to the outside of the foot and pull those knees down toward the mat, flattening your back. And you can stay here nice and still, or again, slightly rotate your body from one side to the other. And we're releasing tension through the glutes, through the lumbar spine, and a little bit of stretch for the upper attachment of the hamstring. If you want more hamstring length, take this into a wide leg happy baby. And again, you can rock this gently from side to side. Then release the feet, bring the knees back in toward the chest, and either roll to your side to sit yourself up or hold behind your thighs and begin to rock the body forward and back until you have enough momentum to bring yourself all the way up to a seated position. We'll come back into our simple cross-leg pose where we began our practice today. Lengthen your spine, check in with your body, the 3 B's, the body, the brain, and the breath. So we will do one progressive relaxation technique, and this helps to teach ourselves to relax under pressure. So I'd like you to completely relax your body, just except for the muscles of the spine to hold yourself upright. Relax your neck, relax your shoulders. And then just take your right arm and make a fist and clench all the muscles of your right arm. Just clench, clench, clench. But as you're doing this, it's not affecting anything else in your body. You're still breathing slowly. Your jaw is relaxed. There's no tension anywhere else in your body. One more inhalation. Then as you slowly exhale, relax that arm and let your fingers start to unfurl like petals of a flower. And then just notice the effects of that gripping on your arm and on your hand. Then on the left side, make a fist. Squeeze through the forearm, squeeze right up into the bicep and even into the shoulder, but try not to let it affect your neck. Your neck is soft. The rest of your body completely relaxed. This can be a difficult technique because when we are under stress, which is what we're putting our right or our left arm under, our entire body can be under stress. So really try to relax everything else. One more inhale. Then as you slowly exhale, let your hand relax and your fingers unfurl, opening like petals of a flower. And just notice the effects of that gripping on the left hand, the left side of your body. We'll take a breath together. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, connect the palms of the hands, bringing the thumbs to your heart, and make a connection there at your sternum, at your heart, feeling supported, feeling comfort, feeling calm and well-being. And that calm that resides within me honors the calm, the comfort, the peace in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I hope that practice was beneficial for your body, for your mind, and one that you can go back and revisit from time to time on YouTube. So if you can stay and chat with me, that would be lovely. If not, I hope to see you tomorrow for our cardio workout. It'll be our last Zone 2 class of the month. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a super day.